A small but young family from Eufailo just completely disappeared. Not long after that, their truck was found in the mountains. Inside the truck was the family's starving dog, along with $32,000 in cash, with no trace of the family anywhere. In fact, the more the police investigated into this case, the more it simply didn't make any sense. In this episode, we'll be looking into what actually happened to the Jamison family. So, sit back and relax. Let's get into it, shall we? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you may be in the world right now, hello, my name's Lloyd, and today you're watching When Evil Follows. So today we're heading over to a great country, but a small city, Eufailo in Oklahoma. Oh yes, the good old city of Eufailo. It has a supersized small population of around 2,800 people and is home to some shopping stores, a small school and a cute little church with lots and lots of space. And oh yeah, this bad boy, Legacy on Main Street, just perfect for doing art and bingo and retirement stuff. But anyways, yeah, I'm sure you get the point that I'm making here. It's a very small city just south of the country. So we're going back to October in the year of 2009. Bobby Jamison was age 44 and his loving wife Sherilyn Jamison, she was age 40, and their younger daughter Madison was only 6 years old at the time. They all lived together in Eufailo, Oklahoma, and they were a carefree family, comfortably living in Eufailo, Oklahoma. They felt like the lifestyle just wasn't quite right for them somehow, and so they made the decision to move into the mountains, where they would then live in their shipping container converted into a home that sits on 40 acres of beautiful landscape. Now I can understand why a small, shy family would want to do this. Much more freedom, more fresh air, and more than likely a much more safer place to raise a small family. However, this dream was very new to them and wasn't discussed with any friends or family members beforehand. If anything, it looked more like a spur of the moment idea. And so on Tuesday the 8th of October, in the year of 2009, the Jamison family put all of their belongings into the back of their truck and they were on their way. The dream was becoming a reality and they were doing this. And the plan was simple. They decided to drive down to the landowner's home in the mountains, knock on the door, and simply buy 40 acres of land from him. Now, as we know, fate can be fickle and cruel at the best of times, and sadly, this would be the last time the family would be seen again. And so their disappearance went unnoticed at first. It was only after about 3 days did family and friends start to worry about them, and 8 long days later, and the date is now the 16th of October, when the family's truck would be spotted by the county sheriff, just less than 30 miles northeast from where they once lived, in Eufailo, on the new plot of land they were interested in buying on the mountains. The truck was found by the local county sheriff, and this is where things start to get a little bit strange. The abandoned family truck was locked from the inside, but once opened, the sheriff would go on to find Bobby's wallet, Sherilyn's purse, the family GPS, their mobile phones, and over $32,000 in cash. Oh, and the family dog Macy, who by this time was practically starving to death. Bobby and Sherilyn's friends and family were all quite shocked by this news. They were more shocked to learn that there was $32,000 found in their truck. They knew Bobby and Sherilyn very well. They were both unemployed and living off disability checks. So $32,000 is something that they didn't really have access to. Now, there was no signs of damage or forced entry anywhere on the truck, but it was parked in a strange and unusual position. The sheriff did find Bobby's mobile phone, which contained images. One of these images was of Madison crying, and by investigating the phone's GPS data, the images were taken just a few hundred feet from where the sheriff found the family truck. The photo images were of Madison, looking very sad, and crying. Why was she crying? Were these images taken by the Jamison family? Or could they have been taken by somebody else? A stranger maybe. The very next day, Help Aid got involved with over 430 people, all volunteering in land and air operation, searching everywhere. However, nothing came from this. Nothing came to light. The Latimer County Sheriff, Israel, he said,
"There did not appear to be any signs that the Jamison family were in any kind of trouble or were out to start any kind of trouble."
However, the more the police department investigated into this case, the more potential for scenarios started to open up. For example, the sheriff said,
"Missing persons case usually start with many scenarios and, after eventually IDing and breaking them all down, leaving just one or two possibilities."
The Jamison family, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. All extensive searches turned up nothing, and eventually the case went cold in 2009, when the hunting season in the mountains began. A little over 4 years had passed, with no further evidence or information. Well, that was until November the 16th, in the year of 2013. Two sport hunters were out in the region of Sandboys Mountain when they discovered a really grim and unpleasant discovery. They discovered the human remains of 3 deteriorated bodies. All 3 bodies were found lying down next to each other in a line, execution style, and all the people in the area started to share and whisper their thoughts and speculate amongst each other. Within just a short time, the police forensics were able to conclude that the 2 adult bodies and the 1 child were indeed the Jamison family, and found only 3 miles north from where they left their family truck. Next to the remains, the police found shoes, some clothing, teeth, and adult bone fractures. The cause of death was unknown because of timely decay, and because there wasn't any evidence of any kind of trauma. However, there was a small hole right at the back of Bobby's skull. Possibly a bullet? Well, we can't say that for sure, or the hole could be made by the nibbling wildlife. Do remember, 4 years on a mountain range. That's quite a long time. Now, all 3 deaths were recorded as suspicious circumstances, and rightly so. And from the police perspective, it was all very strange. Nothing really made sense. In fact, it was very, very eerily strange at best. Many of the clues to the Jamison case just simply didn't add up. For example, the day before the Jamison family left their family home to start their journey, their home camera system caught live footage of them loading up the truck. There's not really an awful lot to say about the footage, except that the footage does show Bobby and Sherilyn loading up the back of the truck around 25 to 30 times. In my opinion personally, it does seem somewhat excessive. The county sheriff Israel stated the same thing in a police interview, and that Bobby and Sherilyn looked somewhat trance-like when loading up the back of the truck. Apparently almost everyone who had reviewed the footage all used the same words, trance-like. Like when they were loading up the truck, they were in a trance of some sort. In my own personal opinion, they look totally fine to me. I don't think it's odd to not talk whilst loading up the back of the truck. You just want to get the job done and get it finished. The picture focus of the video footage is very poor, very blurry, and personally, I don't think this video imagery holds any substantial information, although I could be wrong. What do you guys think? The one thing video surveillance footage did pick up on was the brown briefcase and a .22 caliber handgun that belonged to Sherilyn. Strange though, because both items went missing and were not found within the vehicle when the sheriff found the truck. And I wonder what was in that brown briefcase. And where's that .22 caliber handgun gone? These items were placed onto the back of that truck, and strangely, both the brown briefcase and gun went missing when the sheriff investigated that vehicle. So, what do you think happened to the Jamison family? Well, there are a few theories out there as to what could have happened. We'll review these theories now, and then we'll review my theory at the end. Theory 1 is that the Jamison family went out for a walk into the mountains, but soon after they became lost and got exposed to the cold elements. Hypothermia sets in, and then they died just a couple of days later. I struggle to believe this theory though, because historic weather and data reports have made it very clear temperatures never drop below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Not even at night time. Although the area did experience some light rain, but that was about all. And they would have only walked, 3 miles before dying? I realistically don't think this is going to happen to a group of 3 healthy people. Oh, and remember the personal items that they left back in the truck? Smartphones, GPS, these are the devices you would definitely want to take with you if you decided to go hiking in the mountains. So it would just be really crazy and just a stupid move to make to leave those items behind. And that's not to mention the $32,000 in cash and the family dog Maisie. No one with a sound mind would go out walking in the mountains and leave $32,000 in the trunk unattended. So I don't believe theory 1 being realistic, only possible. Theory 2. Let's say one of them or both of them wasn't in a sound state of mind. Could this be a potential homicide or suicide? A letter written by Sherilyn was also found in one of the back bags on the truck. The letter was addressed to Bobby, her husband, accusing him of being a poor lover, lazy, and a hermit. She rants on about him for at least 9 to 10 pages, so there was definitely some tension between them both. Sherilyn also had a long medical history of mental illness, and she suffered with bipolar. Bipolar disorder means that you can be super happy by one moment, reaching an actual high, and then in the next moment you're feeling a sense of sadness, loss, and depression. So yeah, maybe Sherilyn killed her husband and her daughter, and then turned the gun on herself. Well, you see, that's very unlikely, because Sherilyn's mother, Connie, who lived with them both for quite a long time, she said that they were both amazing parents to their daughter, and that they would never hurt her, not for all the money in the world. Connie also said that both parents would never ever argue in front of Madison, and although they did have arguments from time to time, they were in fact a very happy couple. Also, do keep in mind the reason for going into the mountains in the first place. They were looking to make a brighter future and to start a better life together, and so they didn't really have a motive to end anything right there and then. The couple also had a very strong obsession with the paranormal and the afterlife, witchcraft and death. They had both been interested in witchcraft and death for quite a long time. In fact, there was a witchcraft book actually found in the truck belonging to Sherilyn. There was also threatening witchcraft graffiti on the side of their family home back in Eufailo. The graffiti was actually written by Sherilyn. This graffiti was to ward off evil neighbours, as she was totally convinced that her neighbours were poisoning all the local dogs and cats within the area. The local church pastor, Gary Pardon, claimed that Bobby was not shy about coming forward with his confessions. In fact, he actually told the pastor that he was reading the Satanic Bible. Bobby also went on to tell the pastor that he had 4 ghosts living within the house, and he asked the pastor if he had any blessed bullets to kill the ghosts with. Alrighty then. Theory 3 was that Bobby's father, Bob Dean, murdered the family almost 6 months before the Jamison family went missing. Bobby had a law protective order put in place against his father because Bob Dean had threatened to kill him and his family numerous times before. And sure, there was a lot of hatred between them both. Bobby worked every day for free for 7 years, every day working on his father's gas station, after being promised that one day he would become the half owner of the gas station. But that was never to happen, and that angered Bobby hugely, and this is when the father and son relationship came crashing down. However, when the Jamison family went missing, Bob Dean was in hospital fighting for his life and would sadly pass away. Jack Jamison, Bob's brother, said Bob wasn't mentally or physically able to kill his own son. Bob Dean passed away in December in the year of 2009. During the time Bobby's family went missing, Bob's brother Jack did mention that he doesn't really know what happened to the Jamison family, but he definitely believes that foul play was at work. And so this takes us to Theory 4. that the Jamison family was killed by a cult. Now, at first when reading up about this theory online, I was very skeptical, but after doing a little bit of digging around and research, I see it's quite possible. 20 years ago, cults were much more out there and clearly much more obvious to see. And although cults were much more popular back then, they still do exist in America, even to this very day. In fact, there are many cults in the Oklahoma region alone. Some of these clans include the Ku Klux Klan, the United White Knights, and the Satanic Saints, and many, many more. Sherilyn's mother, Connie, claims that a local cult had a hit list with Bobby and Sherilyn's name on it. Because just weeks after the family went missing, Connie receives a strange phone call from a woman who claims to be in the white supremacist group, which had a murder book. Now inside the book it contained Bobby and Sherilyn's name, along with other people's names who were all missing and are still missing, even to this very day. True or not, what is true is that Bobby and Sherilyn had another man renting their property just weeks before they went missing. The man in question is called Kenneth Bellows, and he's a well-known member of the white supremacist. This one time, Kenneth started talking his ideologies and opinions to Sherilyn and her daughter, and even started insulting her family heritage. She then put a gun to his head and told him to leave and never come back. Now, during the time the Jamison family did go missing, Kenneth Burrows was on holiday in prison, though it could be possible that he asked another clan member to take revenge on the Jamisons.
He was actually in jail during the times that they had went missing.
And lastly, theory 5 is drugs. We all know that drugs can influence odd and strange behaviour in people. Could this explain why the Jamison family were acting kinda strange on CCTV footage captured just the day before leaving towards the mountains? Perhaps that would explain where the $32,000 came from, and as to why it was found in the truck. Maybe the money wasn't to buy new land. Maybe it was for drugs. A drug deal that went horribly wrong. The neighbours made reports to the police saying that the Jamison family were acting rather strange just days before they disappeared. Maybe the Jamisons were experiencing paranoia, hence their weird behaviour. However, Sheriff Israel said that there was no evidence to back up this theory. The police never found any drugs. They never found any drugs equipment. Both the truck and the house were clean, and the money was never taken. So yeah, I really don't see this theory being at all possible. So what is the When Evil Follows verdict? The Jamison family, they disappeared under very strange circumstances. The muggy mystery left behind is still so open, many possible scenarios still remain. For us here at When Evil Follows, personally speaking, I believe that it was murder, and there's absolutely no doubt about that. And this gets me thinking, it would be helpful to know more about the landowner, because he would have been the very last person to speak to the Jamison family, and he was the owner of the land that the family went missing on. I wonder what was actually said between the landowner and the Jamison family. The landowner spoke with the family on October the 9th in 2009 for an entire day, discussing moving plans on times of picking up the keys and so on and so on. And get this, the landowner, he only lived 382 meters away from where the truck was initially found. The landowner lived on a private road, and the only way off and on that mountain track was to pass the property using that private road. So why did he not check to make sure the family had left safely? Also, why did it take him 8 days to report the truck as still being on the property? When the police questioned him, he offered very little to hardly any help during the investigations. And he didn't want to talk to Sheriff Israel either. It's just very strange, very strange. We know from CCTV footage that there was a brown briefcase that was missing from the truck. And get this, historic data shows that at the time, the land that the Jamison family was wanting to buy was actually $70,000 at the time. So maybe they had the money in two halves, and the other half of the cash was in that brown briefcase, and that they were then ambushed outside the truck. And the killer made off with the briefcase, and that's still missing to this very day. It's also possible that the Jamison family was being watched by a cult. If they were going to be killed, the mountain would probably be the best place to do it. But it could also be nothing to do with drugs, or a cult, or buying a plot of land. Because during the initial investigation, a detective did some digging around and he uncovered that Sherilyn and Bobby were scammers, with over 7 lawsuits already open against other people, including Bobby's father, and somebody from a car accident in 2005, and a school where Madison was enrolled into. $32,000 is a lot of money for 2 people who are unemployed and receiving disability checks. So maybe they scammed this money from the wrong people that were now seeking revenge. Either way though, a cult, landlord, drugs, revenge, all 3 bodies were found laying in a row, facing down into the ground, execution style. This indicates to me that this was most likely a murder and not a suicide killing. The hunters who found the remains also argued with the police by saying that it looked like Bobby had a small bullet hole in his skull at the back. Murder would also completely explain why the family left their truck the way they did and the way it was found. They were simply not planning on death. Why would you leave your truck there with $32,000 in the boot? Why would you leave your much-loved pet dog behind, starving to death? Definitely murder. No doubt about it. But who knows how the Jamison family actually died? There's no suspects in the case, and no arrests have been made. So this most likely will always be a case that remains suspicious and unsolved. I can honestly say though, hand over heart, I don't think I'll be going to the Oklahoma mountains anytime soon. Hello there, and thank you for watching another episode of When Evil Follows. Now guys, if you have enjoyed this video, then please hit the like button, and if you're new around here, subscribe to the channel. So what do you think happened to this small family? An accident maybe? Or do you think they were murdered? Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And guys, if you've enjoyed this case, please like the video. In doing that, it helps me grow and reach other people that might like this content. And as I always say, please, please, please stay safe, look after yourself, and I'll see you again the next time when evil follows. Bye.